This time we take a winter ride out to Moreton Corbet Castle. The weather this week is a little bit on the miserable side. A little bit damp, a little bit cold. But all in all, it's not terrible. It's certainly good enough to go riding in. So we decided to take the bikes out and visit Moreton Corbet Castle in Shropshire. Moreton Corbet Castle was in fact a fine 16th century mansion. This was tied in with an old medieval castle which stood on the site first. The original 12th century castle was basically of timber construction. When the Corbet family took over this in 1239, they rebuilt the whole thing in stone. So what you've got left is the remains of a medieval castle. Numerous improvements were made to this during the late 1500s that made it a little bit more hospitable, this no longer being such a violent time on the Welsh borders. But eventually, part of the old castle was demolished and replaced by the 16th century mansion, although still large sections of the castle were still used. Much of the fortified section was damaged during the Civil War of the 1640s, and the mansion gradually fell out of use during the 1800s. Right, so today we're at Moreton Corbet Castle. Now it's called castle because there's actually a 12th century castle just here. It's obviously long since been demolished. But the family that owned the castle would later build this fine 16th century mansion, which we're also looking at this morning as well. And that was built right on the grounds, probably using some of the old rubble. The later 16th century house was destroyed in a fire, was absolutely devastated. So the family decided to demolish the house, and some of the stones were actually used to build the church just over the way there. But you can visit the ruins here for free, and it's just near Shawbury in Shropshire. It's a very nice place to come for a nice quiet hour or so.
Or a picnic as well.
Good place for a picnic in summer. Perhaps not quite so much today.
Freezing.
Freezing. So this is part of the old 16th century mansion. You can see some of the base stones must have come from the original castle when that was demolished, and they've used that as a foundation. And obviously brick building on top. Front of the building, as you can see when we walk around, it's actually in pretty good nick. That was the part least demolished by the fire, although obviously not this section. But you can get to the front here and it looks pretty amazing really. The brickwork up there is amazing, isn't it? The carvings.
I know.
They must symbolise something, don't they? It's probably like the family's industries, family coat of arms, that kind of thing, really. I don't know. See, this particular section of the frontage is pretty well intact. Looks amazing. Such a shame, really. Must have been a very beautiful building at its time.
See a thing, I put my torch on.
Is it really dark?
It's so dark, and it's only a small room.
Is it? Should we have a look? It's, hang on, let me just put my torch on. Well, I can't see shit with the torch. Can't see a lot with the torch on, really. Through a camera. This is just.
Cellar, isn't it?
Yeah, it would have been a cellar for something. It's quite cool.
Yeah.
Maybe it's where they kept their wine stock or fruit, vegetables, anything that's perishable.
Meats.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the old age equivalent to the fridge, I suppose.
Yeah.
I do seem to have latched onto the idea of a fire while I was visiting the building, but mostly the damage was done because the building was left abandoned and just fell to pieces basically, or had large sections of it robbed out. Do you know what, you get much heat from that fireplace, Deb?
You don't think?
No.
Oh, it's raining.
Yeah, it is. The old chimney brickwork's beautiful, isn't it? All the way up to the top there. Still in place.
Yeah, it's
Now walking into the older section of the castle. The old medieval tower was erected sometime in the 12th century and is the oldest part of the building still standing today. Not too much left of the old castle, is there? You can see it's more fortified because the walls are a fair bit more substantial, aren't they?
Yeah, it is. A lot of the local sandstone.
Yeah, windows not quite so hospitable. Hasn't got the grand facade of the later building at all, does it? Site of the Elizabethan kitchen. You can still see that the stones are blackened by the fire, can't you? Sort of rudimentary. There's a sort of rudimentary chimney, isn't there?
The grand entrance.
Oh yeah. That is cool, isn't it? 1579. That's probably the last time improvements were made to the early building. Yep.
There's the Corbet family emblem.
Elizabethan Castle.
Yeah.
That's interesting because it's an area of London, isn't it, as well?
Huh?
It's an area of London, the Elizabethan Castle. So I wonder if it's got something to do with the Corbet family. It's interesting, isn't it? Well, I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. And of course, thank you very much for watching.